Imagine standing on the precipice of everything you've ever wanted. You've fought, you've schemed, you've built. Every room falls silent when you enter. Your rivals, they smile, but their eyes betray a quiet dread. Your allies? They whisper your name with awe. You've won, or so it seems. But then, a subtle tremor. Not in your empire, but in your ego. You flash your wealth. You flaunt your intellect. You make it abundantly clear that you are the strongest, the smartest, the most successful. And that's exactly when you begin to lose everything. In this video, we're going to unravel a dark truth most people never learn until the damage is irreversible. We'll delve into the calculated teachings of Machiavelli, the stark warnings of Stoic philosophers, the fluid wisdom of ancient Chinese thought, and even brutal lessons from the natural world and modern psychology. All to prove one undeniable principle: overt displays of power don't impress, they create targets. If you want to build true, lasting power, the kind that moves mountains, not just flashes, this is the uncomfortable wisdom that will save you. Before we dig into the tactical and psychological underpinnings, hit that subscribe button, because here we don't offer fluff. We offer sharp strategy, timeless truths, and the kind of uncomfortable wisdom that actually gets you ahead. You're exactly where you need to be. Niccolò Machiavelli, often misunderstood as a crude advocate of brute force, actually preached something far more calculated: concealment. In The Prince, he makes it clear, a wise ruler must appear ordinary, even humble. But why? This isn't just a political maneuver. It's rooted in deep human psychology. When we flaunt superiority, too much intelligence, too much strength, too much success, people don't just admire you. They compare themselves to you. This is where social comparison theory comes into play. We are hardwired to evaluate our own worth by comparing ourselves to others. When you overtly display your greatness, you inevitably trigger an upward social comparison in others. You inadvertently make them feel less than. And when people feel less than, they don't respond with admiration. They react with fear, with envy, and ultimately with hate. And hate, as Machiavelli chillingly understood, unites enemies. The brighter you burn, the faster you draw not just eyes, but knives. If people see you as a threat to their own status or security, they won't wait for you to attack. They'll come for you first. The truly dangerous individuals aren't the ones who announce themselves. They're the ones who hide in plain sight, who blend in, who whisper while others shout. Because the moment that spotlight finds you, so does the crosshair. Cesare Borgia, Machiavelli's prototype for the perfect prince, was ruthless, brilliant, and ice-blooded. He knew how to charm crowds, assassinate rivals, and play politics like a master chess player. He moved with precision, masked his true intentions, and struck before anyone could react. For a while, he seemed unstoppable, a rising warlord blessed by birth, intellect, and sheer brutality. But then came the fatal shift. He began to believe his own legend. He traded cautious strategy for overt display. He flaunted power, trusted too much in his father's papal throne, and allowed himself to be seen not as a strategic shadow, but as a dominant, unassailable force. That was the opening his enemies needed. When Pope Alexander VI died, Cesare had no anchor. Within months, he was betrayed, imprisoned, and erased from power. His name became a cautionary tale. The message is stark. No matter how capable you are, if you shine too brightly, someone will find a way to snuff you out. The ego-driven need for external validation becomes your Achilles heel. Seneca, advisor to emperors and a pillar of Stoic thought, consistently warned against drawing too much attention to yourself. In a world obsessed with ego and spectacle, he preached the exact opposite: restraint, stillness, invisibility. To Seneca, true strength was internal, controlled, disciplined, and immune to the corrosive need for validation. Avoid being too noticeable, he wrote, for nothing invites envy like greatness on display. Envy, in his view, wasn't just a personal flaw in others. It was a destructive force that could unravel empires. The Stoic ideal was the warrior who keeps his sword sheathed, the philosopher who speaks only when necessary, the leader who doesn't need to be seen to be feared. Power that announces itself is already bleeding. The applause you chase today becomes the silence of betrayal tomorrow. For Seneca, the highest form of mastery was to need nothing from the crowd, not praise, not permission, not recognition, just action held in calm, steady hands. Taoism, especially in the poetic writings of Laozi, offers a parallel truth. True power flows like water. It moves unseen, fills every space, adapts to every container, and yet, over time, it erodes mountains. Those who show themselves do not shine, he warns in the Tao Te Ching. In other words, those who seek the spotlight lose their inherent glow. Laozi didn't believe in forceful domination or theatrical control. He believed in alignment with the rhythm of nature, becoming part of it rather than trying to stand above it. The warrior who postures invites challenge. The leader who brags provokes rebellion. The wise move silently, act without credit, and let results speak louder than appearance. In Taoism, the one who bends survives. The rigid tree snaps in the wind. The water that yields conquers the stone. The Taoist lesson is simple yet profound. Stop trying to be impressive. Start becoming uncatchable. Power isn't a substance. It's a story. It doesn't exist on its own. It exists in the perception of others. You are powerful because people believe you are, and that belief is incredibly fragile. The moment people truly understand you, categorize you, or see the full shape of your capabilities, they start to resist. They analyze, they plot, they compare, and worst of all, they target. The mystique you carry is a form of armor. The more vague you are, the more they guess, and guessing breeds caution. But the minute you reveal too much, your strategies, your resources, your weaknesses, you hand people the ammunition they need to take you down. Power, then, is less about what you have and more about what you strategically withhold. It's a game of appearances, a dance of shadows. Invisibility isn't passivity. It's controlled by omission. The more they see, the less control you hold. Alcibiades was the embodiment of brilliance gone unchecked. A dazzling Athenian general, master of rhetoric, strategy, and seduction. Men admired him, women wanted him, rivals feared him. And then they destroyed him. Why? Because Alcibiades couldn't help himself. He flaunted his genius. He ridiculed less intelligent peers. He seduced the wives of powerful men, not out of love, but out of ego. He thought he was untouchable. But charisma without caution is a ticking bomb. He was exiled, defected, switched loyalties like a gambler, and eventually, his erratic moves caught up with him. Assassinated in a foreign land. Not because he wasn't skilled, not because he wasn't great, but because he didn't know when to stop performing. His desperate need to be adored was louder than his strategic sense, and that, in the end, was his death sentence. Fast forward to today, and we've built a digital coliseum. Social media isn't primarily about connection anymore. It's about performance. And the most visible performers, the influencers, the gurus, the flaunters of luxury and lifestyle, are under constant, brutal fire. One misstep, one screenshot, one old tweet, and the same crowd that cheered turns into a vicious mob. Fame is fickle. The algorithm rewards exposure, but exposure is a double-edged blade. It demands more, pushes you to exaggerate, to escalate, to fabricate, until one day the bubble inevitably pops. Fraud gets exposed. Reputations implode. Cancelled, clowned, forgotten. The cycle is ancient. Rise, glorify, destroy. But the tempo has accelerated dramatically in the age of virality. The crash comes fast. The lesson is the same. The higher the profile, the bigger the target. And no one, absolutely no one, survives forever in the feed. In the underworld, silence isn't just survival. It's sacred. The old mafia didn't need Instagram or headlines. Their power came from what wasn't said, what wasn't seen. The rule was clear: never outshine the dawn. The guys who rose too fast, talked too loud, or were diamonds at dinner, they vanished. Not because they failed, but because they made others feel insecure. In that world, ego is weakness. Visibility is death. The smart ones kept it low. Cheap suits, quiet mouths, clean hands, even if those hands were soaked in blood behind closed doors. The loudest man in the room? He's usually the easiest to bury. Real power in that world was generational, quiet, disciplined. The kind of power that moves money, people, and outcomes without ever being named. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Real power isn't sexy. It doesn't trend. It doesn't get likes. It doesn't sparkle on red carpets or scream in interviews. Real power is behind the curtain. It sits in boardrooms, moves billions, writes laws, and erases enemies without a single flash. It's logistics, it's networks, it's timing. It's the person who walks into a room and says nothing, but still gets everything they want. Why? Because they already set the table. The loud ones fight over scraps. The quiet ones own the kitchen. Real power is often boring because it doesn't need attention. It already has control. By the time you realize who's truly running the game, you've already lost. Because they never showed their face. They never asked for credit. They just played .so. How do you win in a world that rewards the loud and punishes the exposed? Simple. Be the opposite. Be underestimated. Be boring. Let people talk. Let them think you're slow, average, harmless. That's when they stop guarding themselves. That's when they reveal their plans, their motives, their weaknesses. Meanwhile, you stay watching. You stay calculating. You stay preparing. And when the moment comes, you strike. Quietly, precisely, no drama, no warning. Because true power isn't loud. It's surgical. It's the assassin, not the actor. Don't chase recognition. Chase leverage. Build slow. Move smart. Let others crave applause while you quietly collect the wins. Never forget this. The more you show, the less you control. Visibility is vulnerability. Power lives in mystery. Let your actions whisper. Let your silence haunt. And when the move comes, make it clean. No warning. No noise. Just results. If they didn't see you coming, they'll never know how to stop you. That's not just strategy. That's survival. That's how the great ones stay great, long after the stars have burned out. This is the Beyond the Surface channel. If this hits you, and it should, subscribe. We're not here to play nice. We go deeper. Strategy, history, power, truth. No filters. If you've ever paid the price for standing out, or watched someone burn out trying to be the brightest in the room, drop a comment below. What did you learn? What would you do differently? Let's talk in the shadows. Until next time, stay low, think sharp, move quiet, strike hard. Thank you for watching.